The plasma chains around Marcus Chen's wrists dissolved with a soft hiss, falling away like morning mist. After 12 years of confinement in the maximum security orbital prison of Kepler 442b, he was finally free. The Galactic Confederation's amnesty program had reached even him, the last human prisoner of war. Admiral Zexthor of the Vorthan Empire watched through the reinforced viewport as the human walked across the docking bay with measured steps. The alien's four eyes tracked the prisoner's movements with a mixture of curiosity and unease. Humans had been declared extinct 3 years ago. Their homeworld nothing but radioactive debris floating in Sol's gravity well. Yet here stood living proof that reports of humanity's demise had been premature. "Why do you suppose they kept him alive?" asked Commander Yilka, her serpentine form coiled beside the Admiral. "Perhaps as a specimen," Zexthor replied, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "The humans were troublesome, even in defeat." The human had stopped at the airlock, turning to face the observation deck. Despite the distance, Admiral Zexthor felt those dark eyes boring into his very soul. The prisoner raised one hand, not in greeting but in a gesture the Admiral couldn't quite interpret. Then Marcus Chen stepped through the airlock and disappeared into his transport vessel. "Sir?" The communications officer's voice crackled with static. "We're detecting an anomaly in subspace. Multiple signatures emerging from hyperspace at the system's edge." Admiral Zexthor's blood ran cold. "How many?" 30, 50? "Sir, the count keeps rising. Over 200 vessels now, all broadcasting human identification codes." The command bridge erupted into chaos. Warning klaxons blared as tactical displays lit up with red dots, a constellation of death emerging from the void. The fleet that materialized defied everything the Confederation knew about human technology. These weren't the crude metal boxes humanity had thrown at them during the war. These ships moved like living things, their hulls shifting and undulating as if breathing. "Impossible," Zexthor whispered. "We glassed their worlds. We hunted them to extinction." The lead vessel, a massive dreadnought that seemed to bend light around its edges, moved with predatory grace toward the prison station. As it drew closer, its hull revealed intricate patterns that hurt to look at directly, as if the ship existed partially outside normal spacetime. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer reported, his voice barely steady. "On screen." The view screen flickered and Marcus Chen's face appeared. But he was no longer the broken prisoner who had shuffled through the corridors. His eyes burned with an intensity that made seasoned warriors step back. Behind him, the interior of his ship pulsed with organic architecture that seemed almost alive. "Greetings, Admiral Zexthor," Marcus said, his voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't exist in normal space. "I hope you enjoyed your 3 years of peace." "You're supposed to be extinct," the Admiral managed. Marcus smiled, and it was the most terrifying expression Zexthor had ever witnessed. "Extinction is such a limited concept, don't you think? You destroyed our worlds, scattered our people across the galaxy. You thought you had won." He leaned forward, and his image seemed to reach through the screen itself. "But you made one critical error. You left some of us alive long enough to evolve." The prison station shuddered as the human fleet took position around it. Zexthor's sensors detected energy signatures that shouldn't exist, weapons that operated on principles his scientists couldn't begin to comprehend. "The thing about humans, Admiral, is that we adapt. We overcome. And when you pushed us to the very brink of annihilation, you didn't destroy us." Marcus's smile widened. "You forced us to transcend." "What do you want?" Zexthor demanded. "Want?" Marcus tilted his head, considering. "We wanted to live in peace among the stars. You took that from us. We wanted our children to grow up free. You murdered them in their cribs. We wanted to be part of your grand confederation." His expression hardened. "You taught us that the galaxy has no place for mercy." The sensors detected massive energy buildups across the human fleet. But instead of opening fire, something else began to happen. The space around each ship started to ripple, reality itself bending like heated metal. "You see, Admiral, prison taught me something valuable. It gave me time to think, to plan, to reach out to the scattered remnants of my people, and we discovered something wonderful in our exile." Marcus spread his arms wide. "We learned to become something more than human." The first ship began to change, its hull flowing like liquid mercury. Within moments, what had been a vessel transformed into something that defied classification. Part machine, part organism. part something else entirely. Across the fleet, the metamorphosis spread, each ship becoming a unique hybrid of technology and evolved biology. We call ourselves the Inherited, Marcus continued. We are what humanity became when you tried to make us extinct. We are what evolution looks like when it's fueled by vengeance. The transformed vessels began to move with impossible coordination, like a single organism with 200 bodies. They surrounded not just the prison station, but every major installation in the system. Your choice is simple, Admiral. The Confederation can learn to coexist with what we've become, or it can join the previous galactic empires in the graveyard of history. Zexthor looked at his tactical displays, at the readings that made no sense, at the fleet that had appeared from nowhere with technology beyond comprehension. In 12 years of imprisonment, one human had somehow orchestrated the resurrection of his entire species, but as something far more dangerous than they had ever been before. What are your terms? The Admiral asked quietly. Marcus Chen smiled, and in that expression was the promise of either salvation or damnation for the galaxy. We'll start with an apology, he said, and then we'll see how quickly you can learn to evolve. The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Zexthor staring at a reflection of his own 4 eyes in the darkened screen, wondering if he was witnessing the birth of a new age or the beginning of the end for everything he had ever known. Outside, the inherited fleet waited with the patience of apex predators, and the galaxy held its breath.